You've just figured out that you have ADHD and what now? Is everything supposed to just magically fix itself because you've figured out that everyone else has been playing by different rules this whole time? No, the rules will always be different for you, but what that does mean is that you have an entire guidebook on how your brain works. It's been written by professionals. Guess what it is? And this is a real copy. This is exactly what it looks like. You need to take your life back, and I'm going to tell you right now in 5 steps exactly how to do that. Here are the timestamps for this video, but I'm going to be telling you how to do it in the right order, the order that gets the best results. And I'm telling you now, this is exactly what I wish I'd been told after I got diagnosed, because who is out here telling us how to build our routines and how to get back on top after we've figured out all of the reasons why life has been more difficult for us than for other people. Step 1 is educating yourself. You need to learn what makes your brain different. Learn about the traits that are most present in your personality and in your brain so that you can manage them as effectively as possible. One that I'm desperately going to recommend to anyone who has a period is learn about cycle syncing. And you should be tracking your period. If you're not, it's going to be so much harder to track when those difficult days are coming, because I'll tell you, I have like maybe 4 days a month where I feel like everything is falling apart and all of my hard work has been for nothing. My mental health goes down the drain, and then the next day I'm totally fine. Like, it's like nothing's happened. I bounce right back and I'm right back to my old self. And you have to know when that's coming so that you can prepare for it, and also you know that everything isn't falling apart and you don't self-sabotage for 4 days, and 4 days is enough to break down your routines and really, really fuck with your habits. No one needs that, and it's a thing that's going to happen every month. You might as well be prepared for it. You need to be cancelling your plans and eating healthfully and in accordance with your cycle and what you need in order to sustain yourself so that your energy levels bounce right back up, so that you are right back where you started and you can go on with your life. The second thing I really, really want you educating yourself on is what supplements you should be taking, because if you don't know what supplements you should be taking, how on earth are you going to keep yourself going? ADHD people have so many deficiencies just because of the way our brain works, because of the way that we metabolize things. I take vitamin D because there have been multiple studies that show a positive correlation between taking that and the mitigation of ADHD traits. Same goes for omega-3, but I really encourage you to do your own research and find out your own deficiencies so that you can better handle those and get the right good quality supplements that are going to help you live your life to the fullest. Our next step, with all of the knowledge that we've just gotten that is perfect for us, we're going to be setting ourselves some realistic goals. And it can be anything. So I want you to do 3 things every single day, and those are your non-negotiables, and they can change every single day because that is just what has to work for you that day. One day it can be showering, taking your supplements and getting 20 minutes of sunlight, and on another day it can be write a whole essay, hang out with your friends, and I don't know, paint a wall, whatever you have the energy for. If you have a ton of energy that day, make those 3 things your non-negotiables. But if you don't have any, 3 non-negotiables that just take a lot less energy, because you need to keep that momentum going. I've said it and I will say it again, that the ADHD brain runs on momentum. You need to keep yourself going. And if you can't be proud of what you did yesterday, how on earth are you going to get up tomorrow? The amount of guilt and shame and rejection sensitivity that we deal with as ADHD people has to be dealt with. We have to think about how our emotions are going to affect the things that we can get done. No matter what the things written on your to-do list are, you want to wake up in the morning and see 3 little check marks next to your non-negotiables because you did it. You took care of yourself, and that is all you need to be doing. One last thing that I want to put in here is that before you knew you had ADHD, most people weren't doing as much as you were anyway, and you were still beating yourself up about the fact that you weren't getting as much done as them. You can get a whole week's worth of neurotypical work done in an afternoon. You were doing more than them. And you cannot be holding yourself to this incredible standard and burning yourself out again and again and again. When you have the rule book now, you know how to take care of yourself. As long as you aren't putting more on your plate than you can sustain with all of your other societal pressures and all of your family pressures, your friendship pressures, your relationship pressures, as long as you aren't putting more on your plate than you can deal with, you won't get burnt out and you will be able to keep going. Of course, that's not a guarantee. Mental health is a complex thing, but I'm talking just baseline, take care of yourself. Don't stop taking care of yourself, because it is the momentum that keeps us going. And next, we are talking about developing healthy habits. And now that you've got your supplements and you've set some goals that aren't going to overwhelm you, how are you going to get any of that done if you're not sleeping? If you don't have proper sleep hygiene, you are making this journey so much harder for yourself. It's just a fact that ADHD people struggle with sleep. It just happens to us. It's the way that we are. Our brains race and we struggle with meditation and anything that would typically calm us down, and we just lie there in bed hoping at some point we'll forget about the fact that we're meant to be falling asleep and then actually fall asleep. But I'm going to bring you something that changed my life. It's not permanent and it doesn't work every single time, but hear me out and try it for yourself, and on a good day, hopefully you get that full night's sleep that you have been craving and that your brain needs. If it doesn't happen before 10:30, it's not happening. Your deadline is 10:30 every single day. If you didn't get it done before 10:30, if you haven't started it by 10:30, it's not happening because you're meant to be in bed. There's something else going on and your brain isn't going to work. You're not going to be happy with the work that you created after 10:30. And I want you to go onto your alarms app right now, pause the video and then come back after you've done this. Set yourself that 10:30 alarm because the day is over after 10:30. I'm being so serious right now. Because while this might get your adrenaline pumping right before bed, before that 10:30 mark, your adrenaline's pumping so that you get shit done because it's 5 p.m. You've realized you've only got 5 hours to do a week's worth of work. You might be able to get that week's worth of work done in 5 hours. Some people are in the mood, some people are not in the mood to do that, and it just depends on how you're feeling that day. But 10:30 is your cutoff point from here on out, and that is the gospel truth about it. And healthy habit number 2 that I want to go over is making sure that you have the right food in your home and meal planning ahead of time. I feel like I don't need to go over prepping because it's quite self-explanatory, but what you need to know is that the gut is the brain of the body. It produces so much of your serotonin. If your gut is inflamed, it will not be producing the serotonin that you need to get on with your day. And I can tell you this from my personal experience, and this might be a bit TMI, but I feel like we've created a community on here, and this is something that you need to know because I have a gluten intolerance. And if I eat gluten, I am depressed for several days. No lie about it at all. And you can take from that what you like, but my gut is inflamed and I'm in pain and I'm sad and I'm not getting the serotonin or the dopamine I need because I have fucked with my body. And this is so aimed at you lactose intolerant people because I know how you love to look at me not eating bread and then have a spoonful of ice cream and be like, it'll be fine. Moving on from that, you need to be planning out good amounts of protein and fat and fiber into your diet as well because the ADHD brain messes with your metabolism like nothing else. It does crazy things to you and it stops the absorption of proper nutrients and minerals, things that you need to get proper cognitive function. I know, massive catch-22. Why doesn't my brain want the things that makes it good? You get me? It doesn't want sleep, it doesn't want vitamins, but you gotta force feed it. And none of this is just about your stomach health, it is about your mental health too. Food is one of your most important habits that you need to pick up, and having a healthy relationship with it and eating the right things for your ADHD brain that you have researched and you know that they're the right things for you, so important, and one of the biggest takeaways you can have from this video other than the sleep thing. I just wanted to pop in quickly though and ask if you could just leave a like on the video and maybe comment one of your ADHD stories or anything that you're getting from this video or any video suggestions. I am desperate to know what you guys want to see, and you guys are so lovely, the nicest little family in the comment section. I'm so glad that people are watching, and yeah, I'll see you down there. Thank you, bye. And the third habit that I really want to emphasize and lightly suggest is exercise. I'm sorry about that, sorry to suggest it, but you gotta be giving your brain those bubble baths that it needs. It needs to be cleaned out and it needs the stimulation in order to create the dopamine that you need. Not only does exercise help with non-medicated brains, but your medication is literally useless without exercise. And if you really can't motivate yourself to do all of this by just being you, I want to suggest something that I've been doing for a little while now and it works so well. It's creating what I call an exhausting alter ego. And this is a person who comes out at 6 a.m. when you want to wake up, or comes out before you want to do that essay, and they just go and use all of your spoons for you. Yes, you'll be tired afterwards, but it's nothing that you would have done yourself. Your exhausting alter ego, yeah, maybe they're neurotypical or they're a bit crazy. Give them a name, make them productive, make them the alter ego that never worked for you because you're not neurotypical, and just let them out for an hour. Let them go absolutely crazy. And I might be burnt out because I'm ADHD, but that person, she goes out and does it for me. She goes to the gym, she does my skincare, she gets me out of bed, and I'm exhausted as hell afterwards, but it happened. And now I can take my little break from all of my responsibilities because they're done in peace because someone else did them for me, and I can go and like have a little burnt out nap or whatever because someone else came out and did it for me for an hour, and then I got to go back to recovering from all of that exhaustion because it's more exhausting for us than other people. But not for your alter ego, not for your exhausting alter ego. And the best thing about it is that you can just stop being that person once it's done without any shame because it's finished. That leads me into step number 4, developing your coping strategies. You can work with a therapist or an ADHD coach. I know that sometimes those are a bit inaccessible or expensive for people, but if you have the means, I'd say go for it because that can help you really tailor all of the things that you need. But here is another coping strategy that I really, really recommend as part of your step towards becoming ADHD intelligent and knowing how to work with your brain. I want you to create a log of everything around your house that stresses you out and accumulates mess, everything that you have control of. Just make a list of them. And as you go, because you can add to it throughout a day, throughout a week, however long it takes you to accumulate this mess. And then we can sit down and find some solutions to it because you know what doesn't work for your brain. I'll give you an example from my own life. Clothing, a real stress point in my life. And I have the chair, the one that gets covered in clothing, and it's just really hard to put things away and to see what I have, so I end up wearing the same thing again and again and again. All just because it's easier. But do you know what I did? I went and I got IKEA cubbies. I don't know what they're called, but they're just the ones on the wall. I'll insert some footage here or whatever about them because they are just cubbies on the wall with all of my clothes, all of my most worn pieces up, and I can just see everything that I have. It makes it so much easier to put my stuff away and to know what's clean and what's dirty. And also I can rearrange what's in them. So when I got my gym membership, I moved my gym clothes, which I didn't use very much, from above my bed, where they're the hardest to get to right in front of my mirror, so that every single time I want to use my gym clothes, or every time I want to look in my mirror, I can see my gym clothes behind me being like, wear us. And it also meant that when my washing came back, instead of sitting in a pile, I knew exactly where to put it because it was in my view. You know, out of sight, out of mind, in my line of vision, very much in my mind. Not as catchy, but also, you know, you get the idea. I also really like to list my coping strategies, so when I'm feeling overstimulated and like the world is closing in on me, it's often because I'm dehydrated, and I completely forget that because ADHD medication makes you super dehydrated, I'm gonna be real with you. So I always have my water bottle with me, and I forget that I need to drink water when I'm feeling overstimulated because everything feels like too much. So I've written it down that when I'm overstimulated, this is my solution because I figured it out one time and I keep forgetting. And you can do the same thing. If there's a solution that you found that you keep forgetting about, but as soon as you're fine again, you remember what you were supposed to be doing, you can just write that down. Make it easy to find. Have yourself a little rescue book, a little first aid ADHD book that you can just have on hand. And if you're struggling to cope because of emotional dysregulation, I just gotta recommend go touch grass, because I was in the room with a friend of mine and he has ADHD and he got a really long angry text message from somebody, and it wasn't his fault what happened, and he just seemed to shut down. He just lay in bed, he just wanted to be in the dark and just curl up in the guilt of everything, even though it wasn't his fault remotely. And I just dragged him outside with a glass of water and a snack, and we lay in the grass for like 30 minutes and just felt better. You just gotta let that shit dissipate. And you also have to be around people who understand when you need to just go out and touch grass or sit alone in a room or just emotionally regulate how you need to do it. Which brings me to the last step I want to talk about in upgrading your life from figuring out you have ADHD to owning your ADHD and having a great life because of it. Creating your support system. You need people around you who understand you. That's exactly what I'm trying to do with this channel. I mean, like, create a community of people who get each other, people who can be each other's support system. Because by the time I was 17, 2 of my closest friends who I'd been friends with since I was 11 had both been diagnosed with ADHD, and I had just started to figure out that I might have ADHD. Even though those friends have fallen away, I've made other friends who I don't text them back for months at a time. Not because I'm a bad friend, and they know that. They never make me feel bad for that. And actually, they've both come to me and said that they might have autism. I don't think I've ever had a friend who isn't neurodiverse, to be real with you. But you need people who are going to understand what you're going through, and that's best to do once you've figured out a bunch of other stuff as well, so that you can be a healthy friend. So I also recommend joining an ADHD support group. I actually volunteer at a support group, and it just is so nice to see the women being friends with each other. I see women in their 50s and 60s and they're just getting diagnosed with ADHD after going through menopause and dealing with everything and realizing maybe this isn't normal. And they get so much support, and you can see it in their eyes that this is exactly what they needed their whole life, and it's exactly what I needed my whole life as well. There's no difference, and you can go and make friends with anyone in these support groups. So in this corner of the internet, consider it a pseudo support group. It's a place for people to feel understood and to come and ask their questions and feel seen. And finally, here is how you are going to implement all of this into your life in a practical way. I want you to write down these 5 questions on a piece of paper, on a notepad, whatever's closest to you, and take time after the video to actually sit and go through them and think about what applies best to you with these questions and how best to answer them. Number 1, what is one resource that I can go to find out more about my brain? My favorite is Attitude, this online magazine that has a bunch of great articles. I get a lot of my knowledge from there, and it really, really helped me figure out what worked for me and what applied to me. It's got quizzes, it's got support group recommendations, it's got anything that you can be looking for. That's what I enjoy. It is an American magazine though, so it is a little bit different to what the UK knowledge says, but all in all, I found it very helpful. There are tons of resources though, so if you want to go to a YouTuber, if you want to go to a podcast, if you want to go to an online magazine, if you want to be reading, then go do it. Do what's best for your learning style. Number 2, what are your 3 non-negotiables for today? What are the 3 things that you want to get done before you go to sleep tonight, just as a bare minimum to make sure that your life goes on smoothly tomorrow? I am so sorry about the change in lighting. My camera was about to die and I actually can't be asked to deal with 2 different takes of the same video. Question number 3, what do you struggle with the most? Eating, sleeping, or exercise? And once you've decided which one is most important to you or which one you are struggling the most with, you can start listing all of the little things, not difficult things, that you can implement into your life to make it easier to get those things done. So you could start taking melatonin supplements. Find yourself a good one with good reviews, and start taking that. Or you could start cooking yourself more dinner at night so that in the morning you have some like weird breakfast, or you can take it to work with you for lunch. And number 4, I want you to be making yourself a dopamine menu. What are the things you do that make you feel good? What are the things that you can do when you're feeling down, when you have low dopamine, that can help with that dopamine production? Could it be eating your favorite food, watching an episode of something, going for a run? Basically just anything that makes you feel good, but the best things to do are the healthy things. So maybe make yourself a smoothie. Try and figure out a good recipe that you want to try and make it a healthy one. Or just give yourself some kind of challenge, because that is great for the ADHD brain. And the 5th one, this is a bit of a difficult one, but what is your first reaction when you experience rejection? And now I want you to journal about it. Pick it apart. Figure out why you might react that way. And then try and figure out a coping mechanism for that reaction, because some ADHD reactions can be so severe. I know I used to have very severe reactions to rejection, completely uncalled for ones, and finding out what was triggering it and what worked for me to calm down has changed my life. My stress out the window. All the people who stressed me out that I got all the dopamine from fighting with them, out the window. I don't care about those people anymore, and you can get there if you do the work. These 5 steps are meant to be so simple, but they're not necessarily easy ones. None of this is easy. This is a really difficult time that you're going through, but I'm so glad that you're here and that you are making an effort to make this a really good time in your life and an opportunity for growth. And once you've done these 5 steps, or once you've just answered these 5 questions, you are giving yourself a perfect jumping off point, something that is so personalized that is going to help bring you to the next level. It is going to help you get to that point you've always wanted to be at, but always struggled so much with because you didn't know that these steps were what you needed. But I'm also really curious about what strategies have worked for you in the past, because I don't see any of it in the comment section. I want to know what works for you and what you've tried. Please hit that subscribe button. We have the sweetest, kindest community of people growing here. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you and your brain, and I will see you wherever I end up next.
The truth, I look better under you. I can't lose when I'm with you. How can us lose and miss the moment? You were just too important. Nobody like